It does look really cool. Very smoky. Yes, adults should not have too much fun with this, even though it is. I mean, it's actually work I'm doing here. So let me continue. This is part 2 of converting gravel that you buy, and the reason I'm doing it is for logistics. Part 1 is fun somewhere else. Welcome to Norway, by the way. Rural Norway, so it's a bit far away from sand and stuff like that is costly here. And the gravel here, this is what I have available at an affordable price. It is full of clay, and I'm not going to go into details with that one. What I'm going to continue on showing, however, is the, let's see, continuation of the procedure where I made this pathways here for the water to kind of just drag the sand and the clay away, and then I can scrape the gravel over for further processing so it's clean. And in the process I get access to my drive-in again, which all this I had to dig over, and I got all this space simply through the use of a hose. So now first I want to just last time on the previous part I showed kind of how I separated the gravel here with the hoe, and that I surface cleaned it. So let's see. Oh shit, probably not good for my phone. Oh well. So let me just reveal all the gravel that's on the surface, because what you're seeing there is that between the cuts I actually just dug up more from there and over here, so it should have a steeper inclination. Now on the previous part I mentioned that the trinity of this is volume, so the amount of water you manage to gather on the top, momentum, which comes both from the hose but also from the water that is gathered on top. The volume causes more momentum so that the sand and the clay actually washes away, and so you don't have to wash many times, and then the gravel is what remains. So now currently I'm using like this spray function here in order to kind of expose the surface rocks here. And then I'm going to show you how the, so on part 1 I kind of got to illustrate on this path right here how the erosion, when you washed away the sand and the clay, simply put, the rocks are going to settle. They're going to lock into each other. But this particular part of spraying here, hold on. So this particular part of spraying here, I wanted to show so I could illustrate the part that I did not show on the previous one. So here sand is remaining, right? So now that it's exposed, I can, and excuse the clumsiness, you can see I'm dragging a little bit too much because I'm getting like a bit of the clay and whatever. But basically, as these rocks are gathered, which you can also make them gather with the force of the hose, and I can show you that on part 1. Oh shit, I'm probably not filming this really well. Let's see. But basically, you see this is pretty sequestered from sand and clay. I just pour it over the pile here because I'm not going to take all of that with one hand, but basically I wash it over here, I scoop it to the side like this as I clean it, and then I transfer it over to my container or whatever. The sand, it washes, but what I wanted to do, so that's why I set up this stop here, is because I want the sand to settle here. The rocks I can easily scrape up over here, over there I mean, and the sand settles here, while the clay, which I cannot use for anything pertaining to construction, it washes away. And then I can use it for other earthworks that I will probably show at some point. All this talking. I have to apologize for all this rambling. Got cut off. But now, let me illustrate. And I don't care if the rocks there are going to be something I have to dig up later. So, volume momentum, and inclination was what I did not mention. First, let me show you how I can sequester the rocks. Insofar as you're on the surface, the momentum of the beam is going to push the rocks up, but the volume of water that gathers, it's going to have the sand and the clay go down. But more importantly, you need inclination, building volume, and as I go down, it helps me with my inclination. And you want to have good momentum, because if you don't have good momentum, yeah, shit may collapse, clay may go away, but the sand will still mix in a lot with the rocks. Now in this case, I'm going too fast. I'm going way too fast. You see, way too much of the rocks are mixed with the sand. I'll have to wash this again, right? This is for show, right? Now if I start on the top, let's say I first here go on the side here, knock all the rocks. If you scrape it from the surface, the rocks are not going to have any support, and the momentum of the beam is going to put them away. Now you can make this shit collapse. Oops, wrong direction. There we go. That's the direction. So you direct it because the gravity is the part of the inclination, right? So you set the inclination because you want gravity to help you. But if you don't have enough volume, right, you see what happens? It's just building up. If you don't have enough volume, it's just you don't get to gather the momentum alongside with gravity. So now that it's building up, you can see it's building quite nicely. It's cutting through. It looks very satisfying, but you're not really there where you want to be. It's first when you start seeing that the inclination at the top is just pooling, like it's doing now. Now you remove its support, because now it has a lot of weight. Now you remove its support. There's a lot of water stored in there, right? So just keep removing the support. Make sure you keep the flow going. Oops, sorry, wrong direction. I kind of forgot myself. So you can see now it's just going through, washing well. You can control what these things on the side. Now notice how many nice, neat rocks we got here. Oops, let's see. Just make sure you skim on the surface. It's going to be the rocks that are getting thrown away at the side. This is a regular garden hose, no high pressure or anything, by the way. And notice if you take the support, here's a good angle to actually see. You take the support, it all just collapses because it's already saturated with water. It doesn't have a lot of momentum to get away a lot of the sand necessarily, but it is taking away quite a bit of the clay. That even rhymes. Ain't that neat? So I'm just going to make that being a pile where I just gather rocks, because really what I'm trying to break through is fucking thing. Let's see. So here I have resistance. Oops, sorry. Here I have resistance. It's making a lot of clay, and it's a mess. So I'm just not going to do that. I'm just going to build this one up here. The clay and the sand and everything is going to hold water, and then I break the support. I break the support. Yes, there you go, baby. Yoo-hoo! You see, like kids and water, playing out in the rain, and finding with the garden hose on the lawn or whatever. Like these, I forgot what they call those. Those things to make sure that lawns don't dry out, right? Kids, they like water. Do you think that stuff just goes away just because you become an adult? Hell no. You just have to find an excuse to play around, and that's pretty much it. Look at all this nice gravel, angular granite. This is granite. Okay, some of the hardest shit that you can come across when it comes to rocks. And the sand, once it's washed off clay, well, guess what? angular crushed sand happens to be the best type of sand. There are sand mafias out in this world. Yes, sand mafia. Because getting good angular sand, it's good quality. And here, just by being a kid in my 40s, yeah, you know, I get to enjoy the weather. It's on good, nice. I have nice beer. I have nice weather. I have a functioning gardening hose, and with that, alongside with my hoe, right here, you know, this is the cheapest hoe you can come across that also simultaneously buries utility. So yeah, that's one way to stay positive in life. I'm having so much fun, it's probably criminal. I just have to say it. It's probably not normal to be having so much fun as I'm having. But can you blame me? Like, can you? It's nighttime here, by the way. Northern Norway. The sun is now. Finally, we're having twilight at 1 to 2 a.m. Around there. Then we have twilight. But generally speaking, it's still bright at this time of year. All right, that's probably enough. If you have watched until now, you probably need to go outside a little bit more. Cheers.